Okay, let me move further and propose the next speaker. And our next speaker is Irna Israt, Mohammed Hassan, and Fateh Mohan. And the approach, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Sergio Garzon, Silvia, Liubenova, Popova, Matthias, Bauch, and Swen Günther, which is called TRIZreverse, a systematic review and comparison with existing knowledge and technology transfer tools. Please, Silvia or Sergio, I guess.
That's me, Sven, who will give the presentation.
Right.
So but I can't share my screen at the moment.
Okay, now you can.
Okay, 1 second. Good. Yeah, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. That's me, Swen Günther, from the University of Applied Science in Dresden, together with my colleagues and research associates. I specialize in TRIZreverse, and together with Sergio, Silvia, and Matthias, we provided this paper and today this presentation on TRIZreverse as a systematic review and comparison with existing knowledge and technology transfer tools. So today I would like to give an overview on transfer tools that were introduced and are widely spread and used in practice, and that could be called conventional tools. And in the second chapter, I would like to give an overview on TRIZreverse. And this is then the basis to start with a comparison. So comparative analysis, a comprehensive tool assessment will be done or has been done. And this gives then an overview of what TRIZ can and not can, and what are similarities and differences between TRIZ, especially TRIZreverse, and other transfer tools introduced at the beginning. Yeah, at the end, in the fourth chapter, I would like to provide an outlook and show main challenges that we explored during our investigation, during our research work. And also further research will be done. And here I'm looking forward also to maybe invite someone here from this group to do this research with me, with us. Then this is the first part, transfer tools overview. Before we start with the transfer tools, I would like to start with this introduction. So what we are talking about, this is the general process with the 3 steps: invention, transfer, and innovation. And the TRIZ toolset, main of the tools of TRIZ, standard TRIZ, could be linked to the first step, invention. So we're talking about inventive principles, for example. So this is the strong link to the first step of this overall process, general process. And a second step, a second process is then the transfer. And here TRIZreverse could be linked to. And with the transfer, we are able, and this is the perspective of a research institute like us, with the transfer, we might be able to create this innovation. That means a new product, a new service that could be launched on the market. And let's focus on the second process step here, transfer process. Transfer is actually a quite complex system, a complex topic, including transfer organizations, systems, processes, and tools. And tools that could support this transfer to get from the invention to the innovation are shown here, or are in the first step are categorized here. So we have tools in the first category that could be called expert-based, expert system, expert-based tools. So that is the human brain that is used based on expertise and experiences that support the transfer process, the transfer organization. Then secondly, we have method-based tools, or method-based. So here we have to focus on the method. And as you will see in a few seconds, TRIZreverse is one of these methods that are used and could be used also in the future to improve the transfer process and the efficiency of this second part of the overall process that has been shown before. Thirdly, we have hybrid tools or hybrid approaches. Yeah, it's actually a combination of expert-based tools and approaches and method-based approaches. Let's now proceed with method-based tools and approaches. And here, this is the overview and one of the findings and results from the research work that was mainly done by Sergio Garzon. He used to work as a research associate last year at the University of Dresden. And unfortunately, he cannot join this presentation today because he is currently moving from Europe to the US to start a new job. So this is in addition to this presentation that I give today. And the main findings could be seen here based on a systematic literature review. And these are the general tools that are used for supporting the transfer organization, transfer process, once again, to get from an invention to an innovation. And probably most of these tools and approaches are well known to you, starting with lead user approach, total system, probe method, and so on. I won't go into detail because I suppose you are quite familiar with the one or the other approach. Also, once again, due to the research approach and search words, keywords that have been used. So these are general terms, so we may find also sub-terms or subcategories under single tools that are tracked here. Yeah, then this is also a timeline that could be shared with you. So going back to the 1980s with the first tools that emerged and became part of innovation management and knowledge and transfer management, starting with lead user approach. And if we would add now here the TRIZreverse tool that will be explained in the second chapter, then we may start here, and we'll find it in the early 2000s when first publications were available. And going back in history, in the past few years, the term TRIZreverse has become a standard, probably in the past, so going back 10, 20 years, slightly different terms and words have been used to describe what we are talking about and what we name today TRIZreverse. Yeah, TRIZreverse, what is it? The overview, and starting with this fundamental diagram, fundamental chart and overview of TRIZ. What is TRIZ? This is what you probably know. To solve problems, a real or concrete problem that has to be solved, and it's quite difficult to do it in a trial and error or with a trial and error approach. So it's much more efficient and much more effective to use tools, and so the TRIZ toolset is one of the famous approaches that can be used. And it is worth to mention that is a scientific approach because we're working on an abstract level, so we abstract the problem actually. So for example, when we are using technical parameters to describe the real problem, and then to work with, for example, contradiction matrix to solve this problem on an abstract level. And so we get an abstract solution. These are the inventive principles, for example. and then we derive the real solution or solutions from an abstract level. So this is the standard approach of TRIZ. And so when we're talking about TRIZreverse, actually this is the opposite direction. So going from right to the right-hand side to the left-hand side, starting with the real solution, and then also going back by using TRIZreverse tools, and also, and that is what I will talk about, we will talk about is the TRIZ contradiction matrix. That is a key tool that could be used here, getting back from real solution to a real problem. Yeah, you may wonder, why is it necessary and what's behind? So to find a real problem, this is a typical situation that we face at research institutes and in universities. So we have a lot of output in terms of papers, publications, new technologies, and also patents, yeah, that are released. But the great challenge is how could we use these new findings, these new technologies, these patents, and these are usually technologies, new technologies that are described in patents. How could we use and transfer them to practice? And here the approach is to find new markets. That means at the end new problems where the patent could be applied or where the new technology could be applied. So here you see the main three goals of the TRIZreverse approach. Identify new markets, customers, and fields of application. Explore further strengths and weaknesses of the patent. That is the second main goal, to get a better understanding what's in it. And thirdly, find similar patents and or competitors from other fields. Also for competitive analysis, this might be a very relevant tool, TRIZreverse. Going back in history, what I mentioned, so there are several publications available going back to 2003. Not always TRIZreverse is used as a term, to name it, to describe it. Already mentioned Mann from 2006, and also worth to mention, and which actually gives the first clue and idea how TRIZreverse could look like. So TRIZ for reverse inventing and market research by Garzon Michnik from 2009. So this is what we would say as a first algorithm, a first procedure that is described and was already applied in a company as a case study of Wittenstein AG. Based on this, we did further research, and we came up with this seven-step procedure, seven-step approach that was already introduced by my colleague Silvia Popova on Thursday. So she gave the overview of the 7 steps, including an example on biocompatible materials. Hope you remember this. So this is, you could say, the procedure or algorithm that could be used for conducting TRIZreverse, and has already successfully applied several times at our university. Third chapter is called comprehensive tool assessment. Before we come to challenges and further research regarding TRIZreverse, this was mainly conducted by my colleague and research associate Sergio Garzon. And here the approach is as follows: to first define criteria which are the basis for a comparison of the different tools that were introduced, transfer tools, including TRIZreverse. In total, he figured out 10 dimensions, 10 criteria that could be used to analyze the tools and to find similarities and differences. And actually, in the first trial, in the first round, he conducted a qualitative analysis, and these are the findings here. By the way, all these things are described in detail in the paper that was submitted for this TRIZfest conference. And yeah, here you see TRIZreverse, and then a comparison with the other 7 tools that were introduced and shown at the beginning of this presentation. Secondly, he also did more scientific analysis, cluster analysis, which is actually a quantitative analysis, yeah, done with SPSS. And quite interesting to see that he figured out 2 clusters. So that means we have these 2 clusters with tools that seems to be very similar. So we have in cluster 1, for example, also TRIZreverse with probe and learn and reverse engineering. And then we have a second cluster provided by SPSS cluster analysis with the rest of the tools. And so also we started to describe the characteristics of these clusters, that means of the tools in this cluster. Yeah, challenges and further research, especially on TRIZreverse. First of all, coming back to the general process that I introduced at the beginning, from invention to innovation, and with the key process or key step transfer in the center. And here it's worth to mention from my perspective and my experience, TRIZreverse and other tools. This is regarding the time consumption and the effort that is needed to be successful with the transfer process. I would say it's 1% or less of the total effort that is needed to successfully transfer an invention into innovation. Also, this is something that you may find it in literature and according to studies. So the tools in general will support the process, can help, and will help to find the right direction, and probably also new interesting fields of application of a new technology described in or by a patent. But this is a starting point, and then it's a long way to go before you have a company that you could work with and who will be able to apply or to use the new technology that you may provide. Yeah, then coming back also to the 7-step procedure that we introduced and that we used to support the transfer process and to apply the TRIZreverse methodology. And here we found that there's a high potential for automation. So up to 80% of this process could be automated. This is what we would say from the perspective of today and from the findings that we made. So what already Silvia explained on Thursday, together with the example that they gave, that we have a semi-automized procedure right now. Quite time consuming is the second step, actually the patent analysis and the identification of relevant inventive principles. This is the crucial step to get from the real problem to the abstract problem, or in this case of TRIZreverse, to get from the real solution, this is the patent and the text, to the abstract solution. So this is what we would call 80% of the total effort of the 7-step procedure. And here, this is now what we are looking for, to find support, or maybe there's someone here in the conference who could support or who would like to do further research with us. Actually, what is needed to automate this step is to have raw data regarding patent codes and inventive principles. Actually, this is the foundation of Altschuler's contradiction matrix. But what we found, it's quite hard to find these raw data, yeah, to have patent codes and inventive principles as a raw data table. And yeah, if we would have this, yeah, then we could start with text mining, and we could train neural networks, so artificial intelligences, to do patent analysis automatically. And this is the outlook to the future and what we are striving for currently. Yeah, actually that's all from my side. Here is the contact and the email. Everything could be found also in the paper, and there are also some more details that are provided in the paper. And now I'm ready for your questions, or would be great to have questions and remarks.
Thank you, Swen. I see at least one question already. This looks pretty similar to RFOS IFOS method. Where else can we use an existing solution expressed as a generalized function? So what are differences? What differences are?
Could you please explain in a little bit more detail? FOS and IFOS is the functional analysis that you mean?
FOS stands for functional oriented search, and there are two versions of the name of inverse method. One is reverse FOS, and the second is inverse FOS. So we got a successful solution, a strong solution, and we look for other application areas for it. Isn't it basically the same?
The thinking and the goal is the same, but we have a strong focus on the contradiction matrix and actually on inventive principles. So this is what already Mann in the publication in 2006 tried to explain, and he shared tables with keyword search words and then linked to these key and search words from patents. What are the inventive principles, and in another step also, what are technical parameters, and the technical parameters according to TRIZ, how they could be found in patent texts. Yeah, and so we try to link the semantic of patent texts to technical parameters and inventive principles terms from Altschuler's contradiction matrix. So that means it's regarding the tools slightly different. So the focus is slightly different.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Oleg Abramov. What are specific tools that you use to identify first abstract problem and second abstract solution?
Yeah, this is what I try to describe. So we analyze, currently we analyze the patent texts manually. So we include the experts, the engineers, and also, if possible, the patent owner from our university to understand what is behind. And then in the first step, we abstracted to link certain words, keywords from the patent text with technical parameters. And then, as shown by Silvia on Thursday in this table, so we used the contradiction matrix to find inventive principles on an abstract level that are in the patent, but not explicitly described. So we try to figure out what are the inventive principles of this or that patent. Yeah, this is the abstract level then. And from there, you start to screen IPC codes, so patent codes, and as shown by Silvia, this was the operational part of this presentation of the two papers. You find, you will get a hit list, top 10 of patents with maybe similar approach could be found in a completely different industry sector. This is also something that when I talk to company representatives who are quite interested in this topic, because they would try to find patents that are similar to what they may have invented, but they probably could be in a completely different market or industry sector, and sometimes quite hard to find because different industry sectors are using different technical words in the patent description. And so on abstract level, you try to fix it or to fit it, yeah, actually to different descriptions and terms that are used in the patent text.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable?
Yes, I understand how you find the abstract solution in the form of inventive principle, right? That's the abstract solution.
Yeah,
I did not understand how you identify the particular problem in the other industry, where to apply this principle.
Yeah, that means that the patent itself is probably something that could be linked then to a problem in a completely different market. So to give one example, so in the past I used to work with Fraunhofer Institute. They have one of the main research projects, large research projects they had or already have today is on smart materials, so a shape memory alloy. This is one of the research areas. And so typically they focused on automotive industry, quite clear. So that's Germany. But then after a while, for example, they figured out, and there was also a startup in Germany that used this new technology to create sex toys. That was quite interesting, and and this is just one example that shows so something that is invented for a specific product or specific market could be used in a completely different market. And by using TRIZreverse, that might help you to find these other markets and industry sectors that are not in your scope at the moment.
Thank you very much. Sven, maybe you can look in the chat. There is a question from Hans-Herr Grabe with the reference.
Invention for smart industry. Yeah, okay. There are so also a lot of publication articles are available, and a lot of research is done on the topic, what I would call text mining, and also patents are in scope. But to use it effectively for TRIZreverse, we have to find tables that gives the link of patents that have been analyzed, and it's clear which inventive principle is behind. And so these lists, actually, this work was done by Altschuler in the 1960s and 70s to analyze the patents. And here we would need much more patents from today that have been analyzed, and where we have really the raw data to see what is the outcome of this analysis. So this is then goal-oriented analysis to detect the relevant inventive principles.
Okay, and a final question for this presentation due to time constraints from Jerzy. What about situation when the same words have different meaning in different application areas? Yeah. How such ambiguity is detected and resolved?
Not solved yet. So actually, this is also one of the challenge that artificial intelligence would have. Yeah, and that is not easy to resolve. So there's further research needed to solve this. This is my finding and what I would answer here.
Thank you very much. There is more question, but you can probably answer it in chat directly. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah, and thank you.
Thank you.